All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and bring on our guest here. We got a hold of her, little difficulties there, but we're proud to bring her on. Happy to have her joining us. Mikaela Mayer. You guys, if you don't know the name, I'm sure you've seen the commercial, the Dr. Pepper commercial. Amateur boxer looking forward to 2016 in Rio. Mikaela, you're on the Jeff Mayweather Show with myself and Ashley Ferreira. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Can you hear me? Thanks for having me.
Mikaela, I didn't realize I let Ashley know you were coming on the show today, and it turns out she's a big fan, so it was great having you on with her.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I follow you on Twitter and Instagram and kind of live vicariously through you. You always seem to be doing awesome things, and I'm always going to class and doing boring things. So I do appreciate you posting your updates because it's an awesome chance for me to pretend that I'm not doing boring things.
Oh, my God, I didn't even know. I'm going to have to go follow you back. For sure.
Yeah, well, maybe you can swap modeling agency stories or something. Who knows?
I'm sure she has more than me.
All right.
I mean, all I do is spend my days going to the gym, so I'm sure we're pretty much even. I just make it sound more exciting than it is.
Well, fair enough.
And Mikaela, that's the thing, people think, they'll say that to me. I'm not actually a fighter, but I spend a lot of time in the gym. They say, how cool is that? And I'm like, not really. It kind of gets boring after a while. Standing around watching other people work out all day, it gets kind of boring after a while. But, you got to do what you got to do. But speaking of interesting things, you got something really cool coming up, and we really appreciate you joining us because next weekend you got the 2013 Boxing National Championships there in Tacoma, right? So tell us a little about that.
Yes, it's in Spokane, actually, Spokane, Washington.
Spokane.
Yeah, so it's our 2013 National Championships. We have it every year. It's the most prestigious tournament for Olympic-style boxing. Well, we're called Olympic-style boxers now. I have to say that because they took the word amateur out of our bylaws. So I'm trying to be correct here. But, yeah, so it's a really important tournament to win. You have to win this tournament every year to stay on the U.S. national team and, be a top pick to go international. You want to win this tournament to compete in the Continental Games, the World Championships, establish a world ranking. So it's pretty important.
Right. So this tournament doesn't really have a direct effect on you making Olympics next time, but what it does mean is qualifying here and winning this allows you to get better experience and competition along the way. Is that right?
Right, exactly. It's not an Olympic qualifying year, but, I mean, it is important just because, obviously, you want to make sure you're developing and getting better, and so you test yourself, by winning tournaments like this. And you get, winning stuff like this gives you the exposure of going international, getting more competition, and getting that experience. So it's different, yeah.
All right. So explain to us, those that aren't from. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was gonna say 2016 seems like a super. Can you hear me? Oh my God! Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's one of those things with the delay on the phone. Sorry about that. For those of us that don't follow amateur or Olympic-style boxing, kind of explain how the tournament works. I mean, I was reading a little bit on the website there, and it said there's like 300 to 500 fighters going. So how does it work? It just show up like you don't know who you're fighting, and they just do a random draw, or what will your weekend entail?
Yeah, so I mean, amateur boxing isn't very well by most people like it is in professionals, but I mean, it's super competitive. So we get there, and we'll register on Sunday. Competition starts that Monday, and you put into a bracket. Everyone will be staying up late that night to see what bracket they fall in, who they're fighting first, and assuming you win, you go on to fighting 5 or 6 times to get to the finals. And so, I mean, you're fighting every day. Sometimes you'll get a bye to where you'll get a day off and you get a bye into the next round. But for the most part, it's pretty competitive. It's gotten even more competitive for us women in the last 4 years since they announced the Olympics. So, I mean, it's no joke. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, you would have gone to this tournament and maybe gotten worse. I mean, now you have to expect to fight at least 5 times. It's just how it is. It's very competitive.
Right. Jeff, do you do any amateur boxing yourself, and have you been to any of these things with any of your guys, with Kevin or Zach or any of those guys?
No, because I had a chance to, because I just have too many fighters to be able to, go to an amateur tournament unless I just don't have the time, because I can't take a week away from my fighters, for a tournament or something like that. Because at the end of the day, this is my livelihood. So, I may send someone on my behalf, someone on my team or something like that, but I can't, do that for an amateur fight.
Right. Mikaela, let me ask you this. With your success and your recent found fame, your little bit of notoriety there, do you find yourself kind of with a target on your back when people get in there? Maybe they try a little harder, knowing it's you, and then trying to make a name for themselves off of beating you?
I do feel a little bit of target on my back. I do know that I'm a top competitor, and I know that, but I don't think it's come from, the recognition I've recently gotten. I think this kind of started last year when we had the 2012 Olympic trials. I had a really good tournament. I had a really good year. I lost in the finals with Queen, but I think people saw me then as I was going to be a top competitor for the next 4 years. And then, I went on to winning Continental Games and then a bronze medal at the World Championship. So I think just this whole last year, I've had a pretty solid year. And I think people are, because of that, people will see me as a top competitor.
Right. So after this tournament here, so you win. That's what I'm curious about. Your life in general, being an amateur. Is this your whole life? Do you have a regular job? Do you do something else, or is this it for you right now until 2016?
This is it. I'm actually blessed because a lot of us amateur fighters, and there was a point where I had to work and I had to train and I had to go to school, and I was trying to juggle everything all at once. But at this time in my career, I'm really lucky because I am just able to now focus on just training. I don't have to worry about anything else, which is awesome because I've worked to get to this point where this is all I had to worry about, and now I'm there. So I'm 100% focused, boxing every day, next step, and making that Olympic team. That's all I have on my agenda.
And how does that work? Are you able to get sponsors to help pay for your training, or how does that work with being amateur? And obviously you can't get paid, I guess, but you are able to get sponsors.
That's one of the reasons why they're taking the word amateur out, because we are allowed to accept endorsements and sponsorships now. And there was a time a little over a year ago, they recently changed this about a year ago, where we weren't allowed to type of sponsors or endorsements or any type of money unless it went through USA Boxing. It was complicated. But now those doors are open to us. So that's why, some of us girls have been able to go out there and grab those endorsements and grab those sponsorships and kind of make a career out of being an Olympic-style boxer.
Right. And do you think that overall that's helped, with those doors being open, that's really, helped the quality of the talent out there?
Yeah, there's girls coming out of nowhere now. There's a path for them. There's a ladder to climb in boxing now, and it's been a long time coming, but I really think that things are going to turn around for the women. You have a lot of top amateurs, and they're going to need a place to go after the amateurs, after the Olympics, and so that's going to also help build the pro game too.
Right. Ashley, let me ask you. I'll be the first to admit that I don't know a lot about amateur boxing. Do you follow it at all? And where did you first, learn about Mikaela and become aware of her?
Well, actually, I worked the national championships last year. The men's and some of the women were there too. I actually got to go out to Colorado, get a tour of the USA Boxing. And so I've really been following it for a while. It was a great organization to work with, and the people were just so welcoming. And so I really did start to follow it, leading up to that, and then during that and after. And obviously the first time I ever saw Mikaela was in the Dr. Pepper commercial because, as somebody who pays attention to boxing, and, I probably wouldn't ever want to get hit in the face. And I think that line where, they say that somebody's rearranging your face, I thought, oh, my gosh. So, of course, I looked her up right away, started following her. And, you know, am really just impressed at, about how far and how hard, it seems that you work. And I don't know if I heard this correctly or incorrectly, but are they getting rid of headgear at some point for the Olympic style?
Yes. Not just for the Olympic trials. As of next weekend, the open men take off their headgear. Well, they don't have to. There's going to be 2 rings. Because AIBA, which is our governing body, asked for them to take the headgear off, USA Boxing thought it was way too soon to make it mandatory, so they're having 2 rings. There's going to be 1 ring where if you want to leave your headgear on, fine, but you don't get to make the team, you don't get to go international, and you don't really get to go past the national championship. But if you want to go international and you want to compete at the world tournaments, you have to take your headgear off. But it's only for men.
Wow. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think that changes, the ability of people to fight back to back to back to back like that?
Totally. I mean, I feel like they're trying to make it too much like the pros. It's a different sport. We fight 5 days in a row, There's going to be cuts. There's going to be cuts, and it's only three or 4 rounds, so the pace is much more.
Did we lose you?
I think so.
Well, I mean, personally, when I heard that, I thought it sounded awful because we do have all these questions about whether boxing is bad for head injuries, and it sounded like headgear was a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know what Jeff, it is, but go ahead.
Go ahead, Mikaela.
No, I'm done.
Hey, Jeff, I was going to get your take on that as far as the headgear. Do you think that's a good idea and for the amateurs?
Well, I mean, I came from an era where we didn't have headgear anyway, so it's nothing new. So basically,
well, then it was knuckle boxing when you were in that era too, though.
Yeah, I mean, 1908. But still, in all honesty, I mean, I don't think that, if these guys are actually going to become pros, they don't need no headgear anyway. The headgear actually hampers a lot of fighters. I ain't going to say every fighter, because some fighters, they feel secure in the headgear. But most fighters that feel confident about themselves and about their ability, they don't even want a headgear, because the headgear blocks their vision. A lot of times they get hit because they can't see the punch coming, because, sometimes the headgear is more of a hindrance than, even though it's about safety, it still doesn't matter, because once you get to that level, once you get to the highest level as an amateur, most of the guys' intention is to go pro. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
Well, what do you think about the question of cuts that Mikaela brought up? I mean, it seems like if they're fighting so close together, that would become more of an issue.
No, don't get me wrong. Back when I was fighting, you would fight 2 times in one night, not just that whole week. So I mean, myself, that's why I can say, I don't see a problem with it. But don't get me wrong. At the same time, of course, you're going to have cuts, you're going to have scrapes, you're going to have, all these things. But at the end of the day, I mean, they're being prepared to become pros, as opposed to you just being amateurs, just being the top amateur.
I think a lot of the men's argument is, why am I going to take this punishment for free? Why am I, I'm not getting paid. So why am I taking my headgear off? Why am I taking this punishment? I might as well turn pro. And I think that's a lot of their mentalities. You might as well save yourself, because it's going to you're going to take a lot of punishment. So I see the argument. I don't know what it's going to do for amateur boxing in the United States. It's going to make a lot of the men want to turn pro. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
Isn't it also a lot because of the fact that they think that it's going to be better for ratings? I mean, amateur boxing is pretty much, been dead in the United States, at least for a long time, as far as viewership and that kind of thing. They figure they take the headgear off, it's going to be, get a little more appeal to the mass audiences.
I definitely think that's a factor. I mean, they're not saying that, but from personal opinion, yeah, I think it's going to make it more marketable, more exciting, and hopefully in return you'll get more viewers, more interest from the people, you know, who want to watch boxing.
All right. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. Jeff, the one thing that was kind of interesting to me, you know, Mikaela's been here in Vegas for a couple weeks now. It seems like outside of Floyd himself, she's the biggest star in the gym here lately. Your impressions on her and what you've seen in the gym?
Well, I mean, I watched her box, and she's awesome. I mean, I was really, really impressed and actually kind of shocked. I was like, wow, you know. Because unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see, you know, I didn't get a chance to see her in the Olympics or anything like that. You know, I did see the commercial, but that doesn't have nothing to do with boxing. So basically, you know, this was actually my first time getting a chance to sit down and actually watch her work, and I was extremely impressed.
And Mikaela just. Mikaela responded to that, and then also, you know, what's it been like getting to come in the gym there and work with you know, people like Jessica Rakoczy. I don't know, and you worked with Yolanda. Can't remember her last name.
Iselle.
And then Maricela Cornejo. So tell us about working with those ladies, and you know, what if anything they've helped you with.
They're all good. They're all good work. I like sparring different people because, I mean, that's what it's like when you go to an amateur tournament. You are going to fight 5 different people, 5 different styles. So Jessica, Mary, Yolanda, they all have different styles. Yolanda is a good, awkward southpaw, and then Jessica is she's got a pretty solid pro style. You know, she's strong. She comes forward. She doesn't back off. And then, you know, she's a lot bigger and stronger than, or I don't know if she's necessarily stronger than me, but she's bigger than me. So it's good to work with different body weights and different styles, and they're all really cool. I like them all. I get along, and I like mixing up and going to different gyms too, because we're in the gym every day, and sometimes you got to mix it up and make it a little fun. It's definitely a good, nice switch up.
And what's your reception been like? I mean, people have been treating you well in these gyms and taking them all to you, or?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I give off that whole, you know, what are you looking at kind of vibe. I'm pretty much like friendly and smiling all the time, so I wouldn't expect people to treat me any different just because I don't treat anybody else that way. So, but yeah, everyone's been really cool to me.
So what do you know when outside of boxing? I mean, what is your normal day like? I mean, what if you had a day off? What would you normally do? What kind of things are you into?
Well, I'm a total California girl, so if
you there?
She's a California girl. She just surfed off.
It says she's still.
She maybe went to the beach.
It says she's still on there. You there, Mikaela? All right, maybe she'll start talking again here in a minute. Mikaela?
Well, I mean, what I love about her and what I thought I would like is that she's, you know, very down to earth, and I think that's probably hard to find because I think that, you know, some female boxers can get a reputation for, and some of the ones that have, you know, not being divas. I mean, some of the male boxers are big divas, Adrian Broner, but I think it really works in her favor that she's just a genuine person.
All right. Mikaela, you
guys
back yet?
all just cut out for a second. I have no idea what you just said.
Oh, well, you cut on us. We heard you were a California girl, and then Jeff said he just surfed on and off. So.
Oh no!
And then
that wasn't the end of
Ashley was. And then Ashley was saying that she'd whoop your ass if she ever meets you in a boxing match, but you missed that part. So we'll let that go.
Good. Good.
No. So go ahead. You're a California
maybe 10
girl.
years ago, I would have a chance.
Yeah.
Oh no! I was just saying that I'm a California girl. I mean, I like to, if I have the day off and I don't have to go, a competition coming up or whatever, you know, I'm gonna grab my girlfriends. I'm gonna go on the beach all day. That's just me.
Yeah.
Little things, nothing crazy.
Well, and then the one thing, well, you did get cut off. Actually, Ashley was talking about how, you don't come across as, snobby and arrogant. You seem like a really down-to-earth, cool person. That's the one thing that I noticed, too, in the gym, because I didn't even know at first. None of us knew, until someone else said it. And I know Jessica Riccozzi didn't, Maricela Cornejo didn't know until after she sparred with you who you even were. So that's a compliment to you that, some people, there are other amateurs that I won't mention, but seem to have gotten a little bit full of themselves in the fame they've gotten. And it seems, from what, I've noticed that, you're, like you said, you're not, doesn't seem like you're letting anything go to your head, and you're still pretty down to earth.
I mean, maybe I came from a family of hippies, so that probably helped. But other than that, I always hope that way. I kind of live my life by this. I want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I come into conclusions. So I just hope that people treat me with that same ideal,
Right. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, whether you want it or not, and you dealt with it, obviously you wanted it because you did it, but, you did get some fame, especially the Dr. Pepper commercial. Overall, has it helped or hurt your, I guess your fighting career? I mean, is it open, is it, like I said, is it a hindrance because there's more demands on you? Obviously, you're doing radio and television or whatever, so how has that helped or hurt your career from a boxing standpoint?
Not even. I've been juggling since I was 15 years old, working, trying to go to school, trying to train, I can multitask. This is nothing. This is great. I'm totally focused on my career now, so everything I do is benefiting, is helping to build my career. So that's not an issue for me at all. I mean, it's actually better.
Right. Well, I'm sure I'm going to ask the most common question you ever get asked is, just as far as, the Dr. Pepper commercial, how did it come about, and, and just walk us through that whole experience.
That was the question, actually, but I'll answer it.
Well, no, I think at first it was a question, then it was a statement, but just comment on it.
They actually called my coach. My coach is Al Mitchell, pretty well-known Olympic coach. He had a lot of top pros, too, like Vernon Forrest, David Reed. And they called him trying to get a hold of me. I guess they just found me over the Internet. They just found some stuff on me over the Internet, and they called, and it was an awesome phone call, obviously. And, we started filming a couple months later.
Right. And how does drinking Dr.
Simple.
Pepper, how does that affect your, drinking so much Dr. Pepper affect your health and your, that kind of thing?
I don't think I drink so much Dr. Pepper, but I really liked the whole idea of the commercial, one of a kind, I just really like the idea of it.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing we have is Jeff, I think we have two of the more unique ladies that you'll ever find anywhere. We have a boxer/model in Mikaela on the show, and then we also have, of course, Ashley, who's a ring card girl/law school student. Two combinations you certainly don't find out there every day, so that's pretty cool. Jeff, what's that?
I was just, Alex, I was kind of nervous for you. I thought for a second you might, be hating on Dr. Pepper and, from the part of the country I live in.
No, I like Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper's like church. It's a great thing. people love them some Dr. Pepper around here.
Yeah, no, I have no problem at all with Dr. Pepper. Trust me, I've drank more than my share of it in the past. Jeff, you got to see her work a little bit. You've trained Jessica Riccozzi yourself years ago. You worked with her. We'll discuss in a minute. I don't know if she has plans as far as going pro, but how does her ability, from the little bit that you saw, where do you think she could ultimately end up with, her as far as her potential goes?
She has great potential. I think that she could actually become a champion of the world. And, don't get me wrong. One thing with women's boxing is it's a little bit different from men's boxing. She's an extensive amateur. She has an extensive amateur background. And with that being said, she probably has more experience than some of the girls out there that's probably champion right now.
Right.
And so I think that she has a bright future from what I saw, and I think that she'll be a multiple world champion.
Right. Well, let's ask you that, Mikaela. I mean, do you, as far as the, obviously you're busy for the next couple of years doing the amateur thing, but you have the potential. You're getting your name out there. People know who you are. Obviously, you're going to be very marketable in a sport that's dying for marketable fighters. I mean, since Layla Ali, there's really, I think you and Marlon Esparza are probably the two most popular fighters in the women, as far as women go, since Layla Ali retired. So, do you think that possibly you'll go pro when your amateur days are done, or are you looking to go somewhere else?
No, it's a good question. I answered this the other day, and it's actually been something. This has been a new thought on my mind, because originally I thought, no, I wouldn't turn pro. There's not much for me in pros. I love the amateurs. I want to win a gold medal. I think that's a better path. But, I am going to quote myself, but I kind of feel almost like a duty to turn pro, because just to do whatever little thing I can for women's boxing. I mean, I think that girls like me and other top amateurs, I think we need to do whatever we can to help grow the sport. So if I can turn pro a little bit and help, make it a little more popular or do something for it, then I feel like I should. So, yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know, though. I might go for after this. I might turn pro. So many things are going to change in the next 4 years that I really couldn't tell you, but it's a definite maybe.
Yeah, that's what you kind of touched on exactly what I was going to say. I was wondering if you felt any kind of obligation, because, like I said, the sport's, having such a rough time, and you have, champions of the world, some of the best fighters in the world. I think we had Ava Knight on the show, and, this poor girl has, can barely pay her bills with the way, what she gets paid, and she happened to go to Mexico to get fights because there's no interest at all in women's boxing.
I know.
But, with the Olympics, taking the women on now, and with you and Marlon getting that popularity and getting the attention from, the mainstream, doing the commercials, doing the print ads and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I was going to say, is it like an obligation, do you feel, to kind of do what you can to get the sport out there?
And there's no doubt that things are going to change for women's boxing. I mean, the fact that we're in the Olympics now, getting this much exposure a year after this was, this has happened. So, give it another 4 or 8 years. I know it may seem like a long time, but it's going to turn around. And I think it's going to be necessary for top amateurs, girls like me, to turn pro and do what I can for the sport. I think it's going to be necessary. You need top competitive female boxers. They need to be, I think they need to be marketable. I think they need to be skilled and talented and good at their sport, And I think that maybe a lot of us amateurs should consider that, because, it may not benefit us directly, but it'll definitely benefit the next generation of boxers that are coming up.
All right. And then the last thing I want to get into, I asked this the other day when I interviewed you, but not everybody sees the interviews that listens on the radio. So, the disappointment, not making the last Olympics, you were favored to get there. Did that really motivate you to 2016? I mean, do you think it's ultimately going to be I don't want to say a good thing, because not making the Olympics is never a good thing, but, ultimately it's going to help you become a better boxer, make you more driven to succeed in the future?
You guys cut out again. Yeah, I'm back.
Did you hear my question or no?
Nope, didn't hear it.
I was gonna say, you didn't make the last Olympics. You're favored to get there. I'm just wondering, how did that affect you mentally? I mean, like I said, it's not a good thing not to make the Olympics, but ultimately, do you think it'll help you and make you more driven, because when you get a taste of failure, that makes you want to succeed that much more?
Yeah, I mean, I think I told you this before. I mean, I immediately developed that goal to go for 2016. I mean, minutes after I lost in the finals of Olympic trials. I mean, obviously I was depressed and I was sad and it hurt and it was hard to deal with because I put so much time and effort. But, I mean, I knew that I still had this goal. I still had this dream, and I was going to go for it again. So I have so much more to learn. Like, I'm taking these 4 years, I'm looking at it as a good thing. Like, hey, I have this much time to get better. I'm not going to go in there and just try and make the team. Like, I want to go in there and good enough to win a gold medal. So I'm just trying to look at it in the best way possible.
Right. And did you feel extra, like any extra pressure at all? Like I said, having the commercial and do that kind of thing. Did that weigh on you a little bit and affect you at all?
I mean, I've always believed in myself, and I'm hoping that, having this commercial, I'm hoping that, now other people believe in me too. And so there's a little pressure in that sense, but, I really can't worry about that. Like, I'm doing what I love. I'm working the hardest that I possibly can. There's going to be people who hate on me for it, and there's going to be people who love me for it, and I just learned to accept that. So I'm going to have to deal with the pressure. It just comes to the territory. But boxing, being a boxer, you learn how to deal with that pressure every time you step in the ring. So hopefully I've gotten pretty good at it. And, yeah, I got a good mindset about it. But I'm still just working hard and trying to conquer my goals. I'm trying not to worry about everyone else and their expectations.
I hear you. All right, Ashley, I know, like I said, I know you're a fan of hers. What else did you have for Mikaela before we wrap things up?
I don't really have, I'm just excited to, watch your career and see how this weekend goes, especially, too. And, I think the best thing that you did was, and anybody needs to do is, just move on from whatever loss. So many people can't do that, and it's a testament to your character that you can do that. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited to watch, and Rio's way cooler than London anyway, so.
Right?
Yeah. Who doesn't want to go to Rio? I would totally want to go to Rio, but London, nah.
I was in London, too. They took me as Queen's sparring partner, but they just kind of, kept me locked up in this school. I had to go train twice a day. I wasn't had a curfew of 10 o'clock, so it was just depressing.
Well, Rio's going to be way cooler, so I wouldn't worry about it. You got the beaches, you got red meat, red wine for after.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, after she's done competing, for sure. You don't want to be doing that before.
I said after.
She said after.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, what about you? Just as far as we've had so many. We've done our part, I think, to promote women. We've had a ton of girls on the show, fighting amateurs and pro alike. So, just going forward, what do you, what would you like to see out of Mikaela, and what do you think about the sport?
Well, I think Mikaela said it best. She has an obligation. Not necessarily, but she probably does feel that she's one of the stars in boxing. Her face is out there. It's on TV. People know who she is. So, it's almost like it's my duty to step up, and become a professional and help the sport grow. Like you said, it doesn't necessarily mean she's doing it for the generation behind her, as opposed to, doing it for herself. Because, I can understand that, because the fact of, like I said, her being who she is, people are aware of who she is, and if she doesn't turn pro, it doesn't help. It doesn't help, and women's boxing is really, it needs somebody out there now for the fans to gravitate to follow and say, wait a second, this is the person we want to get behind. So I think that she said it best.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. So, Mikaela, just tell us, real quick, your travel plans. How long are you here in Vegas for? When are you heading up to Washington? And then after that, just, for your fans and people interested in getting to know you a little bit, where they can keep up with you on the social media stuff.
Yeah, so I'm here in Vegas till Friday, and then I drove my car up here. I'm from L.A., so I drove my car up here. I'm going to drive it back home Friday. My plane leaves out of L.A. Saturday, and I'll be up in Spokane for about a week. And then, yeah, if you want, the fights actually might be streaming live on the internet. So if you want to follow me on Facebook, or Mikaela Mayer 1 is my Twitter handle. I'll be keeping everyone updated on where they can get the link to the fights and how I'm doing.
Well, we definitely look forward to it, and and wishing you the best, and you get to come out of there, and what do you have to finish? What place do you have to finish? What place to be able to make the team and that kind of stuff?
Huh?
How do you have to finish in this tournament in order to make the travel team and that kind of thing?
Usually it's number one. You have to win to make the national team, but then they'll focus on getting maybe the top 3 experience. They're changing the rules now, so top 4 make the national. So which is good because they're really going to try and develop not just number 1, but they're going to try and develop number 1, 2, 3, and 4, so that we aren't just pushing one person through the international rankings. You know, we're trying to develop as many boxers as we can. So I actually think it's a good thing.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you compete there and getting to see more than just commercials. We want to see you in the ring there, too, so definitely we'll hope that's streaming there. And we'll post it on the website, too, for people to check that out. And best of luck to you in there, and we look forward to big things from you in the future. Thanks so much for stopping by tonight.
Cool, awesome. Thanks for having me. Nice talking to you all.
You too.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
All right, bye. All right, guys, that was Mikaela Mayer. Thanks so much for joining us. Great to get to talk to her. And like Ashley said, you know, she sounds really cool, really laid back. So it's nice when you have someone that's getting that new bit of success there, but they're still really down to earth. So that's really cool to catch up with.